We're pleased that at least she's got an opportunity to be heard again.
Security at Winchester Prison is in the spotlight after a convicted killer escapes.
A pledge for rail safety is welcomed by survivors of the Paddington crash.
And a little light entertainment, the rival neighbours trying to outshine each other.
Hello and a very good evening. A nanny jailed for 25 years for killing a baby in America may be released from prison by Christmas. Manjit Basuta, who's from Ascot in Berkshire, has won the right for a retrial.
Manjit Basuta was convicted 2 years ago, but has always said that she's innocent. Lawyers say she could be freed on bail in the next few weeks. Tonight, her family said their 2-year campaign has been justified, as Tom Parmenter reports.
This was the moment when Manjit Basuta was told she'd spend the next 25 years in prison. She was found guilty of causing a fatal brain injury to 13-month-old Oliver Smith, who was in her care. Now a retrial has been awarded, and she could be freed on bail in time for Christmas.
We're pleased that at least she's got an opportunity to be heard again. I can only guess that she's very, very cautious, because she was given a glimmer of hope during sentencing, but that was dashed when the judge totally turned about face and decided that she should have the mandatory 25 years to life instead of probation, which he did have the option of giving her.
This has been the one long-standing terrible case we were hopeful of getting a result in. So you can imagine how happy we are, and we're happy for that big extended family, all of whom campaigned so hard. And we're happy for the Sikh community on both sides of the Atlantic. There's a lot of people who pitched into this campaign, and they must be all very happy. But above all, happy for Manjit herself, who faces the prospect of getting out on bail, we think, in time for Christmas.
Manjit's family, though, fear the bail conditions could delay her release even further. Manjit Basuta has always maintained her innocence, claiming the brain injury was caused while he was playing with another child at her daycare centre in San Diego. Friends and relatives have held protests and candlelit vigils over the last 2.5 years. Now their efforts have been recognised. There are now 30 days for the retrial to be challenged, and her supporters are praying that this time Manjit Basuta's name will be cleared. Tom Parmenter for Meridian Tonight.
Security at Winchester Prison is being questioned tonight following the escape of a convicted killer. William Todd was serving 2 life sentences for murder and attempted murder at Pangbourne in Berkshire. He cut through his cell window and scaled the prison wall. He's still on the run, but police are convinced he's not left the country. Keith Malone has the latest.
Major concerns about security at Winchester Prison are now being raised following the escape of convicted killer William Todd. The Prison Officers Association have told Meridian Todd probably would never have made it over the wall if dog patrols hadn't been withdrawn 3 years ago and if manning levels weren't so low.
3 years ago, Winchester was a Category A class prison, and then the Home Office did a review of prisons and recategorised Winchester down to a Cat B jail. As a consequence, we lost our dog patrols and an amount of staff, which has left us with no dog patrols inside the jail.
Today, police were examining the hacksaw blade Todd used to saw through a window bar in his ground floor cell and the perimeter fence. They also have the grappling hook and rope ladder thrown to him from outside to help him scale the 20-foot wall. And as well as his clothes found in a nearby street, they also have 2 mobile phones left behind with his escape equipment at the foot of the wall. But Winchester's MP is questioning why such a dangerous criminal as Todd was not being held at a more secure prison.
Why was a prisoner with this obviously very dangerous past actually being held at Winchester Prison? We don't have Category A status, which is the most severe prison status. What was he doing there? And the second obvious question is, how did it actually happen? And what can we do to make sure it doesn't happen again?
At the police incident room in Winchester, a large team of detectives are now working on Todd's recapture. They're concentrating their inquiries here in Britain, as they don't believe Todd has left the country. That's due mainly to the swift alert sent out to ports and airports yesterday after a security guard working for Hillier's Garden Centre next to the prison spotted Todd going over the wall at 4 in the morning and called the police.
We've got about 20 police officers locally based in the Hampshire area, but we're utilising officers from a nationwide inquiry in the search to recover this person.
William Todd was given 2 life sentences at Reading Crown Court just 10 weeks ago for the shootings he carried out in Pangbourne last February. He shot dead bodyguard Alex Griffin and severely wounded his employer, Arthur D'Souza, a nightclub owner with whom Todd had been friends for 20 years. Detectives are now going through the evidence which came out at his trial in September in the hope it will give them clues as to where Todd might be hiding and who might be helping him.
Well, with the latest on that story, we can now go to Keith Malone, who's in Winchester. Keith, has there been any further reaction to the whole issue of security at Winchester Prison?
Well, Andy, the Prison Officers Association are going to take their concerns to the internal review of security being carried out now at Winchester Jail by an external governor. He's been specially brought in for the job. Now, those concerns, namely, are that nighttime dog patrols should be brought back straight away, and that staffing levels inside the jail should be raised. That's one of their long-term grievances, that there simply aren't enough prison officers inside the jail to ensure proper security.
What about that comment that we heard in your report from Mark Oden saying that Todd shouldn't have been in the prison in the first place?
Well, it's not unusual for murderers like Todd to be kept for short periods at Winchester Jail. He was there temporarily pending his relocation to a life assessment centre, from where he would have been moved again to a top security jail to spend the bulk of his 2 life sentences for attempted murder and murder. But if this internal review finds that security can't be improved, then murderers like Todd might not be kept there in the future.
And what about the inquiry tonight, Keith? Do you have anything for us at all? Anything latest?
Well, Andy, Todd's been on the run now for nearly 40 hours. There was evidence at his trial that he knew men who could forge passports, but the police say they're confident, as I said earlier, that he's not out of the country, and Detective Inspector Wheeler told me earlier today that he was confident Todd would be caught, and caught quickly.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight. Keith Malone reporting there from Winchester. Now, Mary.
A pilot suspected of training some of the September the 11th hijackers has been refused bail by a High Court judge. American prosecutors believe Lotvi Raisi, who was living at Colnbrook in Berkshire, could have been an instructor for the pilots responsible for the hijackings. He was refused bail while he awaits extradition to America.
The former Tory MEP John Stevens, who defected to the Liberal Democrats yesterday, has been welcomed into his new party. Mr Stevens, who represented the Thames Valley for 10 years, formed his own pro-Euro Conservative party, but now he says the Tories can't be an effective opposition party.
I think it is in a far weaker position than the Labour Party was in 81, 83. I think it's got less members, it's got less members of Parliament, its heartlands, I mean, even seats like Henley or Maidenhead or Windsor are vulnerable now.
A nursery school teacher has appeared in court charged with cruelty to children. Gaynor Campbell-Brown was the principal of a privately run kindergarten at Alton in Hampshire. It's alleged she dangled a 2-year-old boy over a wheelie bin. She denies the charges. Tom Savides reports from Winchester Crown Court.
Gaynor Campbell-Brown was arrested in January of this year following complaints from a parent. Today she took the stand to deny she'd threatened to put children in a large wheelie bin if they misbehaved. The 54-year-old, who has numerous childcare qualifications, told Winchester Crown Court that there were very few rules at the Alton Little School, which is now closed. But she told the jury that one 2-year-old boy would repeatedly use the phrase "in the bin" when something he didn't like would happen. The court heard how this went on for 3 weeks. So one day Campbell-Brown decided to take the boy outside to show him the wheelie bin. The defence then asked Mrs. Campbell-Brown, having arrived at the bin, what did you do? I discovered it was full, she said. I held him up close against me and he held onto the side. I told him it's big, it's dark, it's dirty and it's smelly. Not a very nice thing, is it? And he agreed. What was the manner of your voice, she was asked. I wasn't shouting, she said. It was normal. The defence then asked, did you ever threaten to put him in it? No, she replied, never. The court was then told by the prosecution that staff at the school had seen and heard her threaten other children with the wheelie bin, something she strongly denied. The trial continues. Tom Savides at Winchester Crown Court for Meridian Tonight.
Teachers across Hampshire are being offered financial help to buy homes. The interest-free equity loans are aimed at teachers looking to buy their first property. It's part of a government scheme to help people working in areas where house prices are high.
Wiltshire police are investigating a fire at a thatched cottage near Salisbury. Officers have been sifting through the debris at Coombe Bissett. They suspect arson. The cottage is undergoing renovation.
Now, survivors of the Paddington rail crash have joined politicians and the rail industry to sign a pledge. It promises that safety measures recommended as a result of the crash 2 years ago will be carried out. Many of those killed and injured at Paddington were from the Thames Valley. Our transport correspondent Mike Pearce has the report.
Standing side by side, leading politicians, survivors of the Paddington crash and representatives from the entire rail industry. They'd come to sign a document pledging to implement the findings of the Cullen report into the disaster. The move followed months of campaigning by Pam Warren from South Oxfordshire, who was badly burnt in the crash.
Personally, I think it's a form of closure against the anger that I felt about what happened to me personally. For the group, it's a great achievement. We've actually carried through what we decided to carry through, which was to make the government and the rail industry accountable. And hopefully, with Lord Cullen's recommendations, it's going to make the trains an awful lot safer for the travelling public today.
For the government, Transport Secretary Stephen Byers pledged his support.
The Cullen Declaration, drawn up by the Paddington Survivors Group, I think is a very important statement of our intent to deliver the safer railway that we all want to see.
The key recommendation is that a system to prevent trains passing red lights is introduced. Better staff training and improved safety systems are also part of the Cullen report. Following the Clapham crash, safety promises were broken. Not this time, insists the rail industry.
The recommendations of Cullen will be complied with, and they will, in their totality, lead to a safer railway.
That's a guarantee, is it?
Oh, yes, yes, certainly.
With politicians from all sides pledging their support, the hope is that safety improvements will follow whichever party is in power. Mike Pearce for Meridian Tonight.
The pledge for a safer railway. We're going to take a short break now. In a moment, Carl's weather forecast and the travel details tonight from Susanna Streeter. Also, is it first night nerves as the curtain goes up on the Panto? Judge for yourselves.
And do your Christmas lights rival these neighbours in Hampshire? Join us and him after the break.